Hello friends, and welcome back to this week's tarot deck review. This week we are going to be looking at the Modern Witch Tarot, which is another relatively popular deck. I have seen quite a few people utilize this deck. It is one I wanted, but it was the first one that I made myself not buy and wait until it found its way into my life, which was a really fun exercise for me because I had no idea when or where it was going to show up. And then I got it for my birthday that same year. So that was a really fun experiment for me to put faith into the universe that I would receive this deck when I needed this deck. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. This one is another box set that is created by the Illum 11. And so with a lot of their decks, or most of their decks, they open a little bit differently from the standard boxes that we've seen in the past few weeks. All right, so once you get into it, you have your guidebook, which this one, I love that they also provide you with like a hardcover guidebook as opposed to like the standard um, um, paperback guidebooks. And the artistry on the front here is also correlating to the specialty card that they have, which is probably one of my favorite specialty cards that's ever been added into a tarot deck. So once you open the guidebook, you have your standard information, you have the forward, you have the introduction, and then again, you jump into the major arcana here and the meanings for those. Now, these again are going to have information for the card itself, not necessarily an interpretation for the upright and the reverse. So if you do read reversals, you'll need to make sure that you have an idea for your interpretation when you're doing your readings. That'll probably come a little bit more from your internal thoughts and feelings and less from the actual card itself. Now, as you get into the minor arcana, there's less of an interpretation that's provided for you. So you have a lot of information here for the major arcana, but then the minor arcana just has a little blurb for each card, which is why this guidebook is a little bit on the thinner side, which is totally fine because as I may or may not have mentioned before, I am a big proponent of utilizing your own intuition to help with the interpretation and only going to these blurbs if you're really new to doing readings or if you're looking for a slightly different take on the card that maybe you hadn't considered before. Okay. Alrighty. So then that is all of the minor arcana, and then you have at the back the additional information of like reading the tarot and the different spreads. So once again, we have the 1-card spread. You have a 4-card spread for past, present, future, and advice, which I think is really good. A good one to just kind of keep in your back pocket in general. But then there's also positive, negative, result, and advice. So just a little extra take on the different 3-card spreads that you normally do, but adding the advice card. Then there is the cunning path and the 4 powers information, tarot spread information back here. And then the inner wheel. I actually like to do this one for birthday readings along with an actual birthday reading, which is a 12-card pull. And 13 cards really. So 12, one for each month. And then the 13th card is kind of the overall energy for the year. So if you're interested in that, you can find my link down below to actually book one of those with me. And then again, the very, very back, you have the extra cards that they provide, which is the everything is fine. It shares the same imagery as the Ten of Swords, but is remnant of the little dog sitting, the cartoon with the little dog sitting in the middle of a burning room. Everything is fine. This is fine. Everything is fine. And then they also have the inspiration card, which I am actually going to start with that card on the top here when we do our flip through. It is the final card and just a bit of information, a bit of inspiration from the card or the deck creator. So that is a flip through of the guidebook. And as I mentioned, this is the artistry of the deck itself. Let's go ahead and get flipping. So that was our flip through. And I'm actually going to go ahead and remove this one before I start shuffling, because I don't keep this in the deck when I'm actually utilizing it for readings. So I want to make sure I don't accidentally get that one shuffled in there. So we'll go ahead and talk about the standard quality of the cards. So if you do read reversals and you don't like to know which direction the card is facing, when you're actually doing your shuffling. I like the way that the imagery on the back of the card is symmetrical, so you can't really tell which is which. I, however, do not read this deck in reversals. I don't really read any of my decks in reversals. I've kind of stopped doing that unless it violently pops out that way. But I try and keep all of my decks in the upright so that I can read them. Um, I was just getting a little bit too much muddled information when it came to reading reversals, so I took a timeout from it for the foreseeable future. Now, the quality of the deck. This is once again a thicker cardstock. I believe the last deck that we reviewed was also a little bit on the, or was definitely on the thicker side, but this one is maybe not quite that thick, but not as thin as the standard quality of cardstock. It is also a higher gloss. You can definitely see some reflection happening on there. With that though, this one I have found is still really shuffleable because I think that the weight of the card is perfect for shuffling. Also, as I mentioned, this one is still a little bit newer to me. I've only had it for about 2 years, I think. Yeah, I think I've had this for 2 years. And this is one that I use mostly for my own personal use. I have used it for a few clients here and there. So shuffling of the stock is of these cards is quite good still. They're not very sticky. They can do some really good pop outs. They've flown a time or two, but as you can see, shuffling is not really an issue for that. Let me just grab a couple cards here. And there we go. Okay, so you can see the artwork for these cards is also very remnant of the standard traditional Rider-Waite imagery. However, with a modern twist, you see a lot of different ethnicities in these decks and a lot of different skin tones in general. I believe there's even someone who has vitiligo on some of the card artwork, which I think, again, the inclusivity in the new decks that are coming out is absolutely beautiful. As a person of color, it is really nice to just kind of be able to see similarities in yourself and the artwork that's happening on the cards themselves. This deck in particular also depicts women in different places. So where you would normally see, let me see if I can, yeah. So like this is the King of Swords card, but it's still a woman depicted in the artistry or in the artwork, excuse me. So I think that that is also something that is really nice, especially if you are doing a reading for someone who is predominantly choosing women for their partners. Um, it can be helpful to showcase maybe, this is a woman who is a little bit more in her masculine energy, um, and that style of relationship reading. I've actually had a couple of friends who are members of the LGBTQ community, and they said that they really liked when I used these cards for their readings because it helped them see a little bit more clearly and understand more clearly the type of partner they were looking for. So that is a couple of bits of feedback that I've received from my personal clients that you might want to consider when doing readings for your clients. Yeah, so that is the Modern Witch Tarot. Deck review. So that is the Modern Witch Tarot deck review. Lots of things that I really enjoy and love about this, even down to like some of the clothing that's drawn for for these cards. I think that some of the outfits are so cute. I want to go into a store and buy them. But ultimately, this was a great addition to my collection. I was really excited when I received it. And I love utilizing it for my own personal readings. I really connect with this deck and find the imagery very beautiful, very vivid colors. I love a colorful deck, you already know. So if you enjoyed this video and this helped you out at all, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you enjoy content like this, we unbox and review a new deck every single week. So come back and make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss our next video. And if you have a specific deck that you would like to hear about or have me take a look at, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below, because I may already own it or maybe looking to add it to my collection. Thank you again for stopping by. I hope that you liked this video and have a great day. Bye.